Hey, I'm here with Braden Deagle today, and we just finished the last of our Sunrise Sermon series on forgiveness. We talked about receiving forgiveness from God, embracing forgiveness to let it go ourselves, and you talked about forgiving others.
Yes.
Hit us with it.
So throughout these last 3 weeks, we've been going through Ephesians 2, 1 to 10. And that's where we started. We talked about who we were and how Jesus encounters us and transforms us into who he calls us to be.
Right.
And so my portion of scripture that I focused on this week from that was Colossians 3 and how Jesus has called us to quit living from who we used to be and now start living out of this place of who we are now.
Right.
And part of that is our mindset.
Yeah.
So we see in Colossians 3 that the Apostle Paul calls us to seek the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
Seek the things above. And we talked about practically, that's thinking, how would Jesus respond in my context? And so when it comes to forgiveness, when I encounter harm or I'm hurt or I encounter injustice, how would Jesus respond in my context?
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the scriptures that you read to us says, bearing with one another, and if anyone has a problem with someone else, forgiving as the Lord has forgiven you. So I think it's understanding first that we've received the gift of forgiveness, this kind of unconditional forgiveness from the Lord, and then he's calling us to pass it on. So any tips or tricks on how do we actually pass forgiveness on? How do we forgive others?
Yeah, because the reality is forgiveness is hard.
Right.
We're flawed human beings, and we've talked about going through the story of the fall and how it's ingrained in our nature that we're, in Ephesians it says sons of disobedience or children of wrath, which results in division between people.
Right.
So that's just part of our nature. But I think that practically it's reminding ourselves that Christ came to reconcile us. First with him, but then to also restore our relationships with people. And so we know that we're called to forgive. That's kind of Christianity 101, but it can be really difficult. Yeah. And I think it's just acknowledging in our mind that we have to put off the old self, the old mindsets that cause division.
Right.
If the actions we're doing are causing division, we need to check our mindset.
Right.
And choosing the mind of Christ, which is always going towards reconciliation,
Right.
which we just landed on this point that forgiveness opens the door to reconciliation.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you stressed, and this is kind of my thoughts, is that rather than living in the past or the person you were, Christ calls us to lean into him and to lean in who he's recreating us as, so that we can give forgiveness because he's given it to us as a gift. Well, thanks for joining us today. Again, be ready for this Friday at 7:30 a.m. for our next live stream and Sunday at 10 a.m. God bless.